Hi everyone, I am Randrita. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about how Java works. I know many of you are already aware about the terms like JVM, JDK and JRE, but it's really difficult when you are asked to explain this. I hope after watching this lecture, you can do this very easily. So let's get into the video directly. Before moving forward with the terms like JVM, JDK and JRE, let us first understand what is about Java architecture. Java architecture is made up of some components, that is JVM, JDK and JRE. Java architecture actually helps us in understanding how our Java codes compiles as well as interpreted. You get it right. Java is a compiled as well as interpreted language. Why it is, we will understand in this lecture. So let's start. Let's suppose we have our source code. Let's say this is hello.java file and this is nothing but our source code. Then we compile this. We compile this source code. Suppose we want to do this using a terminal. So the command will be javac and the file name. In our case, that is hello.java. Okay, we compile this. That is Java compiler, and javac is nothing but a Java compiler. Once we compile this language, we get a bytecode. We get a bytecode, and this is nothing but our hello.class file. And this is nothing but our dot class file. And just because of this dot class file, Java is known as the platform independent, because the dot class file, we can run this dot class file irrespective of any operating system. Okay, we can run this dot class files irrespective of any operating system. So this is our bytecode, and once we get that bytecode, then our JVM converts this bytecode into machine code. Converts this bytecode into machine code. Suppose we want to do this step using a terminal, so we have to write Java and then the name of a dot class file. Okay, so then we convert this bytecode into machine code, and then our system execute that. Let me share you an interesting fact. Java is famous for its ORA feature, WORA. WORA. It stands for write once, run anywhere. And why not? We can run the dot class file irrespective of any operating system, right? Means we can write the code once and run anywhere we want. And that is the beauty of Java. Now let us understand about the components of our Java architecture. So I have already mentioned that there are some components in our architecture, that is JVM, JRE and JDK. Let us understand all the terms one. This is the very beautiful diagrammatic representation of our Java components. Okay, so actually JDK, it's nothing but an development environment. It provides a development environment to Java developers, and this comes with JRE, Java runtime environments, with some development tools. We can say this, that javac. Okay, it can be javac and many other tools. Javac is our compiler, right? So, and there are many other tools. Then comes JRE. In JRE, we have our JVM, the heart of Java. This is an abstract machine and with some library classes. This can be some doc files as well as some jar files. Okay, as well as some jar files. I can mention these jar files. Suppose we want to build a calculator app in Java. A calculator app in Java. So we can have some addition, add.class file, as well as sub.class file. Okay, and then suppose we packed it in a particular file which can which help us in building this calculator app. Okay, that is nothing but our jar file. This is our jar file. I hope it makes sense. Now let us understand this abstract machine of the abstract machine of JDK, that is JVM. This is the diagrammatic representation of our JVM architecture. First, we load our dot class file that is being converted by javac. Okay, that is being converted by javac. It is our bytecode. We load this in our class loader in JVM. We load this in our class loader in JVM. Don't think that we load all the dot class files at a time. No, we are not. We load this at a requirement basis, and it depends upon JVM. Okay. Then bytecode verifies this then bytecode verifier verifies this. Okay. After verification, it is the memory section of JVM. This is the memory section of JVM. This is the method area. It's also known as class area. It's also known as class area. In this particular section, we stored the name of the class and the static variables This is the heap section. In heap section, the heap memory initiates when JVM starts up. In this particular section, we stored the information about the objects. In Java stacks, we store the method calls as well as local variables. Okay. In the program counter, we store the address of the execution thread, current execution thread. Next, in the native method stacks, we stored the codes written in C and C++. So firstly, we load that class file, bytecodes verifies it, and it's when it's in memory. Now it's time for execution. And this is and in execution engine, we have our interpreter. Next, our JIT compiler or JIT compiler. It's also known as just-in-time compiler, and our garbage collector. Okay, so interpreter, as we all know, that interpreter interprets line by line, so it interprets the bytecode sequentially. Now, what happened that it may possible that it interprets same method multiple times, so it's not efficient, right? It's not efficient. It takes much more time. So to optimize the time, we introduce just-in-time compiler. Just-in-time compiler optimize time by not executing same methods multiple times. And then we have our native method interface. It acts as a mediator between Java method calls and native method libraries. I hope it's clear. And because in execution engine we have interpreter, so it's very much clear why we call Java as compiled as well as interpreted language. And this is the basic structure of JVM. I hope it clears and it helps you all in understanding the confusing terms like JVM, JIT, JRE, and JDK. Thank you so much, everyone.